you feel like the progress isn't going anywhere and you're still asking the same novice level questions. But the good thing is, you understand that it all starts with the basics. Now, knowing the punches 1 through 8, that's the easy part. You could memorize that in seconds if you wanted to. But knowing how to throw them perfectly so you can actually get the most out of your combinations, now that is a different game. Be honest, there's probably that one punch, or maybe even more, that just feels off at the moment, and that's normal. But here's the thing, bad habits build fast, and they're a nightmare to break later on. Set aside a few minutes because I'm going to teach you how to throw every punch 1 through 8 perfectly. If this makes you even that little 1% better, I'd appreciate if you could like and sub, but without any further ado, let's get into it. Firstly, the centerline theory. Every shot you throw in boxing will either position you on the rear side or the lead side of that center line. This will ensure that you get the most out of your punches and you're in a perfect position to follow up with combinations. The jab, arguably your most important punch you'll throw. The jab isn't used to hurt your opponents, it's just used to rack up points, find your range, and set you up for bigger shots which will actually do damage later down the line. Now for this jab, you're going to end up exactly on the line or ever so slightly on the rear side. So, give you an example, when I throw this, my body and my posture, my head, my chest, pretty much everything is slightly tilted over here rather than throwing it and being on the wrong side of that line. To get the most out of your jab, less is more. Your hips only need a slight rotation, if any at all. Most of the snap will come from your shoulder and step in with the jab. As you can see here, I produce a sharp jab by effortlessly stepping onto my lead foot. But to get the most out of your step, make sure your timing is perfect. The lead foot has to land at the exact time the jab lands. Next is the hand rotation. So by default, your palm should be facing horizontally. Turn your fist over so your palm is facing the floor. Make sure your shoulder is turning inwards because this is where the snap will come from and it'll make it a lot easier to turn your hand over. The straight cross. This is where you'll learn the mechanics behind body rotation to start dealing some real damage. Power isn't just in the arms, it starts from the ground up. Watch how it all links together. It starts with a pivot on the ball of your foot. That frees the hips up to rotate. The hip drives the torso, generating rotational force through the core. The shoulder follows, sending that force down the arm into the punch. With everything aligned, the punch lands with speed, structure, and power. Oh, and don't pre-rotate your hand before throwing the shot. This completely messes up your shoulder rotation. Your hand and the rest of your arm should be the final thing to rotate, not the first. Providing you've rotated correctly, your posture should end up on the lead side of that center line. Typically, you'll throw the shot at mid to long range. The lead hook. This will be your go-to weapon for close range power. First, you start with a dip. This loads the hips and shifts your weight, setting the base for the hook. The reason I've always been able to land solid hooks is because I understand weight distribution. By default, your weight distribution should be 50-50. When you dip, load about 55% onto the lead leg. Then as you throw the hook, transfer that weight, shifting 55% onto the rear leg. This allows your lead hip to sharply turn into the shot. Elbow position is also really important as well. Make sure your elbow's on a slight decline rather than an incline. And the reason for this is because if you hit someone with the elbow on the incline, it'll ruin your posture and ruin further momentum on the shot. Whereas if your elbow's on a decline, you'll be able to easily position over to the rear side of the center line and have more momentum on the shot. One of the biggest questions for the hook is what way should your palm be facing? With the palm facing towards you, you'll get more power on the shot, but you can only throw this at close and mid-range as your knuckle can turn on the shot here. Whereas if you throw it with the palm down, you'll sacrifice a bit of power, but you can throw these at long range. You should practice until you're comfortable with both. The rear hook. Same mechanics as the lead hook, but way more power because it comes from your strong side. You'll be using that same kinetic chain as you did earlier when rotating through on the cross. And the same as the lead hook, the elbow position will be the same, but this time so you can rotate through to the lead side of the center line. And again, the shape of your hands will be determined on what range you throw the hook at. Long range rear hooks aren't that common. I like to throw these at mid range or in close range. Personally, I find that's where the best success is for me. The lead uppercut, a tight inside punch that breaks through the opponent's tight guard from underneath. Just like the lead hook, this shot will be set up with a dip, but this time you won't be coming over to the rear side of the center line. You'll pin your posture back and stay over the lead side. After you've dipped down, you'll drive up through the lead hip, rotating it diagonally to lift the punch, while your rear side unwinds to keep you balanced and help fire that hip upwards with power. Your lead foot stays planted the whole time. That's what gives you stability and a strong base to generate power without losing balance. The punch finishes with your arm at a 90-degree angle. This keeps it tight, controlled and close enough to recover quickly. Make sure you keep the punch tight because overextending leaves you open for counters. The rear uppercut. Similar to the lead uppercut but from your power side. Just like the other rear side shots, we're using the same foot, hip and torso rotation, and providing you've rotated through correctly, you'll end up over the lead side of the centre line. You can pin your body back and stay on the rear side of the centre line, however this only limits you to throwing the rear uppercut as a single shot. It doesn't allow your hips to fully follow through for a smooth left hook afterward. Bringing the uppercut through to the lead side of the centre line makes the hook flow a lot smoother. Make sure there's a 90-degree bend in the arm at the end of this shot and you're only throwing this shot when you're in close range. And just like the lead uppercut, make sure you're not wildly looping the shot so you open the counters. Keep it tight and controlled to stay safe and recover a lot easier. The lead body shot, using this to change the level and deal serious damage. Now this is just like the lead uppercut, the only difference is the hand position. Instead of shooting vertical, we're aiming diagonal underneath the opponent's ribcage. And just like the lead uppercut, it's all about driving through the lead hip. You'll shoot it upwards using your hip to generate power. Keep the rear hand up as you throw the lead body shot so you don't catch a counter hook on the inside. This rule applies for all the shots, always have one hand on your face. The term breaking ribs gets thrown around a lot, but in reality the rib cage is tough to break. Instead, aim underneath the rib cage, targeting the soft tissue. That's where you can really do damage and take the air out of your opponent. The rear body shot. Again, we're changing the level and doing serious damage downstairs. For this shot, we'll be twisting through and coming over to the lead side of that centre line. And as it's a shot from the rear side, we're using that kinetic chain, turning the foot, hip and torso into the punch. You'll be throwing this in close range, so make sure everything stays tight. Have a 90-degree bend in the arm so you can quickly recover and get ready to throw your next shot. Again, aim underneath the rib cage and the effect will be devastating. The best advice I can give you when learning these shots is to practice over and over again. Record yourself, check your form and always refer back to a solid guidance. Feel free to use me as a guide in my free online community, the link is below. If you have any video suggestions, drop them in the comments, I promise I read everything. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.